As far as just what you would want to think about, I don't necessarily need to know your emotion and objective, because I feel like what you're using is working. So you just keep doing that. I'm going to give you more other types of notes.
Cool.
Things like when he starts the scene, first of all, don't copy the movie just to copy, because do your own version.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, just because they do it that way does not necessarily mean that's the best way.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this more like, you know, potentially an audition scenario where you're up here, and it's not a stage. It is, the class is primarily a film and television type thing, but like when you have the lights and the cameras and the whole deal, and you pull that blocking, there's a lot of things that are missing, you know, that made that scene work if it did. Does that make sense? Rather than it being here, we may need to have it be a little bit more active, you know, because you can't just, you know, shoot a camera like around, you know, and turn on a light here and make it really dazzle us that way. Or even just a little look can change a whole scene. You know, so when you're up in front of us, it changes the parameters a little bit. But as a general rule, don't take what they do and feel like you need to do that. I would say just use your own vibe. Okay. I think you know, I see the scene. I would suggest, because the scene is fairly long. It's not that long, but it's, you know, you guys are interacting with each other for a while, and you have that big long monologue. So the general rule is you don't want to physically be so close to each other at the beginning of the scene, because you have nowhere to go. So that's why it might be a good idea to have yourself seated behind a desk, let him come in, let him stay almost at the doorway. And you're like, George, it's good to see you. And then maybe you can come out and give him a hug, and then kind of come back and do your thing at the Coke and sit on the desk there. But he's still kind of, put a distance between the two of you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Especially when you know, maybe in the beginning you go over to give him a hug, and then when you see his attitude, it's like maybe that parts you. Does that make sense? But come up with a staging that the physical movement of the scene, give that a beginning, middle, and ending. Okay, so that it heads somewhere and ends up with a gun.
Yeah.
So the other general rule is to not sit in the same place twice. Meaning, you know, if you guys start here and then you come give him a hug, probably not best to come all the way back and sit in the same spot. So if you're going to come back, maybe lean against the wall or sit on the desk or grab a chair. And, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Change it up a little bit.
More like fluid.
Well, no, we're trying to keep it exciting. Otherwise, because if you keep doing the same thing, the audience gets bored. So it's like hitting the same note. I had a really nice moment when you did the Coke and then you started laughing. And then you said, you know, this whole hostile thing. And that moment when you were laughing was so honest. And you were just going with it. And then you suddenly gave me what you thought it should be, instead of just riding that wave. Okay, so what I'm saying, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but there's a reason why I did that.
Well, just know that whatever the reason, we're seeing a reason.
Okay.
Okay. So the idea is not to say, we don't want to see, or we don't need to know Andre's reason for that choice.
Yeah.
You know, we're at that place where we throw it away and see if our body remembers to do it that way or not. And if it doesn't, fine. It would have been totally okay if you were laughing. And if you're laughing, just continue to deliver the lines as you feel laughing, until organically you start to lose it with him. You look at him and you see, I fucking made this guy, and I created this guy, and he's just standing there and he's insulting me. And then it gradually, organically drives you to get there. Does that make sense? So the general rule is we don't want to do what we think we should do. We do it as is.
Okay.
Because that's truth. That's honesty. And the audience will always see if you try to do something and improve it. So great moment there with the Coke and the laughing. But then it's hard because it's almost like you're surfing a wave. And you have to stay on that wave and not just shoot over here because you think you're supposed to be over here. You just ride the wave you're on at this point. Make sense?